Hello and welcome to the Film Story Recap channel. This is the film Jet Li made at his peak. To get him to play the role of Emperor, the director, Rob Cohen, offered him $15 million back in 2007. The story took place 2,000 years ago. Emperor personally led the army to the north and south to unify the world. Everywhere his banner goes, he kills all those who resist. The army overcame one vassal state after another. Finally, he succeeded in unifying China. Afterward, to secure his kingdom, Emperor reduced all his defeated enemies to slaves and dragged them all to build the Great Wall of China. Although he had already unified the 6 kingdoms, but Emperor's ambition did not stop there, because he would still grow old like ordinary people. So he found the most powerful warlocks in the world and began to learn the 5 elements of magic. Although this made him powerful, he still could not live forever. To find the way to immortality, he sent his most powerful general, Ming Guo. It was rumored that a Taoist nun knew the secret formula for immortality. Ming Guo finally succeeded in finding her. The Taoist nun's name was Zi Yuan. She was then brought back to the palace to meet with the emperor. However, the emperor immediately saw Zi Yuan's beauty. Then, with Zi Yuan's help, they found the oracle bones that recorded the art of immortality. At this time, she and Ming Guo had fallen in love. Zi Yuan asks Emperor to spend the rest of her life with Ming Guo. The emperor first pretended to agree to her request. However, after she recited the incantation of eternal life, the emperor directly executed Ming Guo execution. Then he thrust the dagger into Zi Yuan's body. No one else can have the woman he cannot have. Zi Yuan escaped with his last strength. At this point, the emperor's eyes began to ooze mud and sand. It turned out that Zi Yuan was putting a curse on him. Watching her pick up the scroll of immortality and leave, the emperor could not give the order before his body turned into a gushing mud. Just as he tried to struggle, a burst of heavenly fire instantly ignited his body. Soon Emperor was burned alive as a terracotta warrior. At the same time, the army following Emperor outside was also cursed with the same curse. Eventually, they were all turned into terracotta warriors. Zi Yuan also took the opportunity to escape from the palace, and as the sand and wind buried this place for 1,000 years, eventually became the tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Time soon came to 1946. An archaeological team discovered a statue from the Warring States period. As they excavated, they also managed to find the entrance to the tomb. Just after they entered the tomb, they didn't expect it to be full of traps. Fortunately, they passed through without any danger, and as the team continued to move forward, they finally discovered the 8th wonder of the world. The cave was full of terracotta warriors and horses, which shocked everyone. As the team continued to explore, they inadvertently triggered a trap in the tomb. Then more traps were activated one after another. The team had to escape immediately, but the team still suffered a lot of casualties. In the end, only the professor and Alex were left. They did not have time to grieve. They continued their search for Emperor's tomb. Soon they found an altar. On it was a feng shui compass, and with the water flowing in, Alex soon found a clue. The direction of the compass was the opposite of reality. They quickly rotated the disc. Then the last chamber was opened, and the person buried inside is the Emperor of the Ages, Qin Shi Huang. At this time, Alex also found a line of writing under the coffin. While Alex was lost in thought, he was attacked by a man in black. During the fight, he ripped off the enemy's mask and found that the other party was a beautiful woman. At that moment, the professor also arrived, and he immediately opened fire. The woman knew she was no match and quickly turned around and left the place. They then transported Emperor's terracotta warriors to the museum. Alex's parents also called the news. They were adventurers with a lot of experience. They had other tasks on this trip, and were ordered to bring the Eye of God to the professor. As soon as the professor received the Eye of God, he pointed his gun at the couple. It turned out that he had already colluded with General Yan and was going to resurrect Emperor to unite the world. And the Eye of God is the most crucial prop. It contains the spring of eternal life. Then, they captured Alex's mother, because her blood can be used to activate God's eye. As the blood dripped down, the 9 golden dragons instantly came back to life and swam away. The Eye of God also emitted a bright light, and what was wrapped in it was the spring of eternal life that could revive Emperor. Just as General Yang was about to offer it to Emperor, a girl came down from the sky and kicked the spring away, accidentally spilled it on the terracotta warriors of the carriage. At this time, the girl took the opportunity to flip into Emperor's coffin and then stabbed the dagger in her hand into the chest of the dry body. However, a dramatic scene happened. The girl found that the one lying in the coffin was only a eunuch. This is a trap that has been set up for a long time. Just when the crowd was confused, the terracotta warriors that absorbed the spring before instantly shattered. A pair of palms also peeked out from inside. The warhorse also opened its eyes. It seemed to have a life again, and as the terracotta warhorse completely exploded, the real emperor also finally appeared. At this time, he obviously has not yet adapted to the state. Several people saw this and immediately fired. However, the bullet attack was not very effective. Then, Emperor even cast 5 elements to spell, easily forcing the crowd back. General Yang rushed to show his loyalty. Emperor also regained his body. The professor also wanted to submit but was slapped to death by Emperor. Since he hadn't regained his body yet, Emperor's power was also weakened, so he drove the carriage and prepared to leave. At this time, the people also realized that, if they don't stop him now, the end of the world will come once Emperor regains his power. The Emperor was rampaging through the streets. They took out a huge firework. However, Emperor was so agile that he kicked it out. He was also proficient in the 5 elements of magic, and the mortal bodies of several people were no match for him. In the end, the crowd could only watch Emperor leave. After they came to the bar, the girl followed them here. She is the woman who attacked Alex in the catacombs before Lin. Lin told the crowd, her family has been guarding the Dragon Emperor's tomb for thousands of years. The dagger in her hand has a special spell and is the only weapon that can kill Emperor. And that Emperor will definitely go to the Himalayas next, because only the Fountain of Eternal Life there will allow him to restore his magic power completely. Then he can revive his millions of troops to reunite the world. So the group immediately rushed to the Himalayas. They had to arrive earlier than Emperor. The plane finally landed safely after an extreme operation. Then the group, led by Lin, reached their destination without any problems. They quickly set up a trap and prepared to ambush Emperor here. By now, General Yang and Emperor had also arrived here, and they were followed by the elite troops. Both sides immediately started to fight, but soon, they were at a disadvantage. General Yang's troops were not only outnumbered but also had a lot of advanced weapons. Rockets were bombarding them like they were nothing. The powerful firepower suppression instantly put them in a difficult position. Then General Yang even led the charge. The crowd had to cover and withdraw at the same time. Seeing that the enemy was following them in, they immediately tried to blow up the gold tower, but they were forced back by the enemy's fire. They saw that there was no way back. At this time, Lin began to shout at the snowy mountain. As the sound spread, 3 Yetis quickly rushed out. Then they immediately joined the battle. The Yeti is not only powerful and exceptionally agile, the soldiers' attacks could not hit at all. With their help, the army was finally hit hard. Seeing that his team was losing, Emperor finally appeared. He first used the 5 elements spell to form a large number of ice spikes on the ground to drive the crowd away from the Golden Tower, but the Yeti was undaunted by this. Just as they were about to continue their attack, with a roar from Emperor, all the Yetis were deterred. Then he began to climb the tower. Alex tried to stop him at this moment. Emperor used the 5 elements spell again. The fireball fell instantly and drove him back. Emperor finally reached the top of the tower. Then, he put the Eye of God on it. With blue light, he also saw the location of the Fountain of Eternal Life. At this moment, Alex saw that the situation was not good. He took out explosives and prepared to destroy the road to the mountain. Emperor saw the situation immediately threw the sword at his waist, but was blocked by Alex's father Rick with his body. Then the bomb also successfully exploded. With the loud sound waves, the whole mountain began to collapse. The avalanche also began to sweep toward the crowd. However, Emperor's power was so terrifying, he was able to isolate the avalanche with his own power. At this time, Lin also took the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Although Emperor instantly knocked her away, his own spell was also forced to stop. The avalanche of snow instantly came crashing down. The Yeti rushed to protect the people with his body. After the avalanche, the Yeti rescued everyone, but Rick was already dying. In order to save his life, with the Yeti escorting them, they immediately headed to the Fountain of Eternal Life. Little did they know that someone was already waiting here. She was Zi Yuan, the one who put a curse on Emperor 2,000 years ago. At Lin's plea, Zi Yuan used the Spring of Eternal Life to bring Rick back to life. It turns out that behind the Spring of Eternal Life, there is a real paradise hidden in the world. Lin is also the child of Zi Yuan and Ming Gua. Just when mother and daughter were discussing countermeasures, a blazing flame came instantly, and with the violent explosion, Emperor has also found this place. Emperor finally found the Fountain of Eternal Life. He did not hesitate to go in. With a flash of dazzling light, his body finally changed from a terracotta warrior to an immortal body. All his magic power was restored. Then Emperor turned into a three-headed dragon. Not only was it powerful, but it could also spit out flames. The dragon easily beat the crowd to the ground, and then it grabbed Lin and took her away with it. The dragon leapt up in the night. It soon flew back to the tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Then the dragon also reverted to human form. Then Emperor drew his sword from his waist. He gave the command to the earth. As soon as the words were spoken, the earth began to cave in. With the sound of footsteps, his millions of troops finally woke up. They have come back to life after 2,000 years to fulfill their unfulfilled wish. This time, they will follow Emperor to fight the world again. On the other hand, Zi Yuan had already infiltrated the tomb. She took out the scroll of eternal life and used her and her daughter's immortality as the price to awaken the millions of souls buried under the Great Wall. And as Zi Yuan read out the incantation, the Great Wall also suddenly shook the earth and mountains. To build the Great Wall, Emperor had reduced countless enemies to slaves, and they were buried directly under the Great Wall after their death. Their souls were cursed never to be reborn. Now they have risen again under Zi Yuan's spell and will seek revenge on Emperor after 2,000 years. A war across the centuries is about to begin. At Emperor's command, the army immediately changed its formation. Then, 10,000 arrows were fired, and the undead army instantly suffered heavy losses, yet they would have been nothing but bones. Such physical attacks did not do much damage. The two camps then moved closer to each other at the same time. Soon they launched a charge. Emperor's army was clearly superior. In just one glance, the undead army suffered heavy losses. Then the two armies started a direct melee. Zi Yuan also found Emperor and tried to kill him when she had the chance. They fought back and forth for dozens of rounds. Emperor caught a break and stabbed Zi Yuan with an arrow. At that time, he also found out that his opponent had lost his immortality. However, Zi Yuan did not run away but let the sword pierce her body on purpose. She also took the opportunity to get back the dagger that could seal Emperor. At this point, everyone was fighting against Emperor's army. With the air support from the planes, the pressure was soon relieved. But then Emperor reappeared. He directly transformed into a four-legged demon and easily destroyed a plane. Then Emperor regained his human form, but he ignored the battle outside and went straight into the tomb. At this time, the crowd also found the seriously injured Zi Yuan. She was already dying. Before she died, she handed the dagger to the group. This was their only hope for victory. On the other hand, Emperor had come to the tomb alone to finish the battle quickly. He wanted to recast the 5 elements spell to break Zi Yuan's spell and reseal all the undead under the Great Wall. At that moment, Alex had arrived quietly. He interrupted the spell by shooting directly. Emperor was so angry that he turned into a monster. Just one punch knocked Alex out. At that moment, Rick also arrived. He pierced the monster's back with the dagger, but he was also thrown out hard. Emperor reverted to human form, took out the dagger, then the dagger was broken off. Then Rick started to provoke Emperor, but he obviously overestimated his own strength. Just as the two were fighting, Alex had quietly taken half of the dagger. Father and son attacked back and forth. They both stabbed the dagger into Emperor's heart at the same time. The dagger fused back together inside Emperor's body. Emperor's heart was instantly burnt with fire. Then his whole body spurted out hot flames. Finally, the body was directly burst and died. At the same time, the terracotta warriors who were fighting outside also disappeared. They turned back into mud and sand and returned to the tomb. Mingwu took one last look at his daughter. Now all the spirits have been avenged. They all turned into smoke and dissipated into the world. The battle is finally over. The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor was released in 2008. Many people had this comment after watching it. This is a movie that wants the villain to win. Do you feel the same way after watching it? Well, remember to subscribe to my channel. We will see you next time.